Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Crunching Your Growth. And today's guest is someone who's packed a lot of entrepreneurial lessons into a very short amount of time. And I have to tell you, I'm going to toot my own horn here for a second because we look at our stats after every single show, and we continue to grow. And last week we surpassed 82,000 live viewers, and I think it's because we continually bring on guests that have something that they've really built and are passionate about, and that's really a cool item. And today's no different. So we're going to talk to Michael La Spisa. He's 27-year-old entrepreneur. He's a father. He's the co-founder of Googipet and founder of OptiCommerceAI, which is sort of cool when you listen to it. He started Googipet in 2020 with his two brothers. It's a family-owned natural dog vitamin and supplement company. It's grown to a seven-figure brand. Googipet is focused on helping dogs live longer, healthier lives with supplements for wellness, allergies, digestion, mobility, calming, dental health. But Michael's story goes beyond the pet product side. While building the brand, he also spent 3 years at Flywheel, he was learning the whole Amazon marketplace strategy, PPC, commerce operations, how customers actually make buying decisions. And we've had plenty of people on who have sort of started or built or scaled using Amazon as one of their channels. But through OptiCommerce AI, he's helping small businesses use AI in a way that's practical, measurable, and tied to revenue. Not AI as a bright, shiny object, which I'm sure every single one of you out there probably gets 10 emails, 50 outreaches on LinkedIn with the next bright, shiny. Everybody's an AI expert now. So his tool is an AI tool to capture leads, improve speed to lead, automate follow-up, stop businesses from letting opportunities fall through the cracks. So let's bring him in. Michael, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time to come on, and we appreciate you. So,
Yeah. Hey, Phil. Thanks for having me on. I'm super excited and looking forward to having a great conversation here.
yeah, it should be fun. Why don't you take us back a bit? I mean, 27, you can't go too far back, but take us back to sort of how you started, how you got into it. Talk a little bit about Googipet, and then we'll get on to your latest venture.
Yeah. So when I was 21, COVID just hit, and my brothers had already launched the e-commerce brand, and they eventually became the number one bestseller in the space for salt and pepper grinders. So they basically came to me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to start a business together?" And me and my brothers are really tight. We're really close, despite a 12, 14-year age difference. Um, we grew up super close. I think that stems from big family background, being Italian, and our dads really instilled that in us that we have to, stay close together. So we butt heads sometimes on the business front, but it's been really good for us. And so back in COVID hit, we were looking to start a business. We found the dog vitamins niche. And at the time, I had a 13-year-old Pomeranian poodle named Bella,
Mm.
and she was struggling with mobility, struggling to go on walks. Everyone was at home during COVID, so you could walk your dog 5 times a day. And she couldn't keep up with us. Granted, she was older, but we found the dog vitamins market, and we talked to a few manufacturers, and we found one in Illinois, and basically talked to their animal nutritionist, who has a PhD in the space, and came up with a formula for a multivitamin, started giving it to Bella, and saw major improvements within 2 weeks. It was just absolutely insane. I was not even expecting that when we
Yeah.
came up with this formula. So that was basically how we started, and from there, we expanded to 8 other SKUs, but our multivitamin is still our hero product. People love it, dogs love it. Actually, we just did a palatability study on it, and 39 out of 40 dogs, enjoy the chew and eat it every day.
Did you? How'd you get the info out of them?
There's actually a farm, it's a farm, and also palatability research place,
uh,
called Summit Ridge, and they have 20, beagles that do this study over 2 days. So 39 of the test subjects ate it.
That's how I do it. I buy something and I give it to my dogs, and I determine whether or not they eat it.
Yeah,
As to whether or
exactly.
not they like it, that's their palatability study. But Yeah, that's interesting. So then, and then, but while you were doing that, you went to work for Flywheel.
Yeah, so I was actually in college when we started Googipet, so I was, going into my senior year, and then we launched, so I was, doing the job, graduating at the same time, and then I got a job at Flywheel out of college because needed to make some money, and I also just started dating my wife at the time, so, women are expensive. So, we were going on a lot of dates and had to make some money, so I got a full-time job and was doing Googipet, at night for 3 or 4 hours every night,
Right.
and I learned a lot at Flywheel, so I'm super grateful for that, and got to work with some bigger brands, like Nutrafol, Hefty, Glad, so really great exposure being young and working with these big brands.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We started selling on Amazon for ourselves in 2006, and then we watched that whole marketplace evolve. And then when we started the agency, it was 2014 or so, 2015, and it's just totally different today than it was then. E-commerce in general. I mean, when I started, we built our first website in the year 2000, and it was one screen that you're dealing with, and there was no WordPress, there was no Shopify, there was no Magento, no BigCommerce, none of that. You had to get a guy to code it. You had to get somebody to design it, get a guy to code it, and I think the first website we built cost like $120,000, one hundred
Holy
eighteen
cow.
thousand dollars. Yeah, it was food. We were one of the first food sellers, and I mean it was, and I look at it today because we can spin up a Shopify site for, using AI as an agent for nothing, pretty much. I mean, it's really not that difficult. And it's amazing how far we've come. But even e-commerce back then, like there wasn't any Google ads, there wasn't any Meta at all. And you really had to think about the URL that you were buying and how people were going to search for what you had. That was really your ticket. Yeah, and then trying to get PR and trying to get on other platforms to get affiliates or whatever. It was a whole different world, man. And then to look at where we went, and even 10 years ago it was completely different. So yeah, it was probably a good experience to be a Flywheel.
Yeah, it's crazy how much times have changed. Well, when my brothers started their e-com business, it was 2015, I believe, and I was 16 at the time, so I was, experimenting with web development, and I was always a techie, so I was building computers and whatnot. So they're like, "Hey, do you wanna build our website?" And so I built it on WordPress, and I mean, that was still a bit challenging at the time, but now it's like you just prompt AI and it could spit out a website in 10 minutes and you could have a polished one in a few hours.
Yeah. Yeah, and then even with WordPress, you have Elementor, and you have so many different things that you can play around with. It's pretty amazing what we're doing today. But yeah, AI totally has changed the game in the last 2 years. It was a little bit clunky before that, but now it's I think it's getting a lot smoother.
Yeah.
So then you went to that, and then you had a brainstorm, I guess, somewhere along the way, and you decided to do something with AI.
Yeah, so we started using AI and Googipet, like, as soon as GPT came out to, write stuff, write content, and help me a ton with my email marketing. But I would say, like, 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half, it became a lot more useful, especially when N8N became popular and you could make actual workflows to take work off your plate, and now Claude just released Fable 5, and it's such a high level of intelligence, you could basically just give it responsibilities instead of, workflows and tasks. "Hey, you're in charge of XYZ, and you're gonna do this every day," and, it could handle that perfectly fine. It's actually incredible.
Oh, I know. It took me 20. I had built, like, I guess about 2 years ago. I had built this workflow um, in chat to do uh, to just I created a spreadsheet of 1,000 um, concept titles to create content with word written content and to put it on my website. But it was still, it was like it would create the content, but it still needed to go like into Grammarly to be cleaned up. And then, it needed a person to look at it. And then you needed to put a picture on it. So it was sort of automated, but not fully automated. And I
Yeah.
got frustrated with it. And I was on Claude messing around about, I guess about a month ago. And I said to Claude, and this is exactly how I said it. I said, hey, I said, I built this workflow. Here it is. I said, this is what it does, but I want to fully automate it. Can we do that? And Claude responds back, yeah, sure, no problem. And I had already built a portfolio of myself and put it into Claude and said, this is who I am. This is how I do it. Because I wrote a couple of books, so I put those in there and everything. So it knew how I wrote and how I spoke, and so it goes, yeah, we can do that. Here's what you need to do, and then it starts going through the steps. It took me literally 21 minutes to get the whole thing done. And the hardest part, the thing that took the longest time, was pulling the OAuths and the API keys out of the server side and out of WordPress and out of this other system that was generating the images. And and not that it was hard, it just that's what took the longest time to log
Yeah.
in. 21 minutes. And it said, and then at the end it said, okay, you're going to get an email. It's going to give you the first write up. If you like it, say okay, and it will post it. If you don't like it, tell me what you want to change. I made a couple of changes to it, and then after that, it's been running every single day, and every single day it just goes and puts an article on my personal website. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the biggest leap was definitely when it shifted from N8N to more like Claude Code and Claude Cowork style automations where you just take a workflow that exists, even SOPs, and you just plug it in there and say, "Hey, automate this," and it
Yeah,
does it for you. And, like, the API keys and all that is, I think, what scares a lot of people. But now you could just have Claude Cowork use your computer and find them for you.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
really
yeah.
no excuse nowadays.
Well, the other thing it told me to do was it told me to log in to my WordPress site, make a new user. I gave it a username, and it was basically Claude. So Claude is a user on my WordPress site, and it does some other things for me. But it's hysterical, man. To me, it's hysterical because it just took. I just thought this took me 21 minutes to do, and it was not difficult because I am not a coder. I'm not a tech guy. I'm a marketer, but I mean I understand enough about tech to be a little bit dangerous. I can certainly build a Shopify site and things like that, but I am not a person who can write code. Brian, on the other hand, my partner on the development side, he definitely can. So he actually built a system, and he built it in it's real software. It's not vibe coded or anything. It's real software. So anyway, but I love Claude. I think Claude it's amazing, and it occurred to me um, when I started looking at what is happening with like ChatGPT, Claude, even Gemini to a certain extent, it's quite obvious that what they're going to position themselves as is the creators of agents for brands versus just providing access to an LLM or to their systems. They're actually going to start solving problems for people, and that's going to be I think, a bigger revenue model.
Yeah, everything's already moving towards that. Like, Claude's really embraced that. I mean, they ship new updates every day around that ecosystem, basically creating a sort of AI operating system for yourself and for your business where you
Right.
just have it all in one place and, you could create agents, you could create this, you could create software. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
It just accelerated, like, insanely quick. I think there's a stat where it's like the processing power or something about the models every 4 months, it doubles. So it's just gonna be this exponential growth curve we're on, and no one can really predict where we're headed, but we know it's gonna be autonomous. We know a lot of people are gonna outsource a lot of their knowledge work. I know companies are already doing this, but I think that's the biggest leverage is where you give your employees all this power so it 10x's their leverage and their output.
Yeah, if you do it right, what the thing that I find to be a little bit unique, not unique, but a little bit strange about AI is when it comes to corporate companies. Every CEO starts talking about AI, but I don't think they truly understand AI because they don't really use it. Yeah, they've used LLMs, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
using an LLM and writing emails and doing all that, but they don't truly understand the power of AI. And I had a conversation with one CEO. So it's a business that's probably doing 700-800 million a year in ARR. And he said, I mandated to my staff that I want 60% of our work to be done with AI. I was like, that's sort of a silly, mandate. I said, because what's the focus? Like, what are you focused on? And I after talking to enough CEOs, because it's not just him, it was a bunch. I sort of get the impression that they think that AI is like a tool, just like an app. And I keep saying to people, it's not. It's a discipline, no different than marketing, no different than finance, no different than HR. AI is a problem solver. It's a solution, and you have to treat it as such. But you also have to be very clear about what you want it to do, because I think there's a lot of bright shiny object people out there pitching, systems that don't necessarily solve real problems, don't necessarily provide a payback, and don't really have a focus. You know, because it took us, I'd say it took us a good, you know, 3 years to figure out what we really wanted AI to help us do that would make us more efficient, effective, and save money. And because we experimented with a lot of different pieces, and it was, writing blog posts, writing content, writing emails. It's really easy for it to do, and automating that. But that's just words, But when you start getting into real problem solution, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, you're 100% spot on. It's not really about what can I automate, it's what could I automate to produce the highest leverage, and return on my investment on, A, the time and cost of automating it, because there is a cost associated either with hiring someone to do it or doing it internally. Yeah, I've worked with a few enterprise level companies, and they're all kinda worried about the security aspect of it, and, like, giving your employees Claude seems like a big risk, but it's definitely better than using Copilot, which I see a lot of these corporations using a lot. Um,
Well, that's because most enterprise level companies are so entrenched with like Microsoft in the Microsoft world with Teams and Outlook and such. So Copilot fits right in, and then it just becomes. But it's not really as powerful as Claude. I mean, once you use Claude once, you realize like the power of it. I think Anthropic has done a phenomenal job with how they positioned it, and it really is moving. I think light years ahead of everybody else. And I think ChatGPT, is sort of OpenAI is sort of taken the position that they want to be the Google of AI, which is an advertising platform, a checkout platform, and you can see it with the deal they struck with Shopify.
yeah.
You can see it with the ad platform, which we're in the beta test with, and then the ability to check out when so I think all those things are kind of cool, but it's not. It's sort of a different focus than what Claude is doing.
Yeah, I think Claude also appeals more to, like, your kinda guy, like, you're not super techy, but you're in the weeds and you wanna get stuff done, like, you're super motivated to just go and do stuff, and I think that that's what they are appealing to, and that's why they overtook OpenAI, in terms of ARR. Um, they just I don't know, everyone I've talked to that has switched from OpenAI to Claude says it's like night and day, and they're never going back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's truly a problem solver.
Yeah,
It's amazing when you start thinking about when you start thinking about like we're an agency, right? There's a couple of things that we do every single day. We run ads, right? So we have to analyze those ads and we have to get some information about those ads. We have to build updates for those ads, right? That's just one piece just on ads. But you think about all those pieces and you think about how you can automate pulling the data, analyzing the data, and providing me with sort of a report on what we have to change to make the ads better, and then providing an update and creating that update and sending it off or putting it in a what do you call it, a platform that can be, that can provide visibility. So you think about things like that and how much time that saves and how much more effective I've become because pulling data and analyzing data used to take tremendous amounts of time, right? I'm sure you run ads and you have to like pull
Yeah.
that data, and then the platforms themselves have gotten a little bit more complex, and so they don't help, right? Because some of the reports are fairly rudimentary, and so you want to go deeper. You need some better eyes. So I think, in those situations, just the report generation is phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's part of why I love Claude is you basically just point and shoot, and it'll take care of it for you. Like, my brothers who are not techie at all, they're I basically trained them on how to use Claude Code, and my oldest brother, he built an entire software for Googipet that we now manage our ads from for Amazon. So it connects to their API, pulls in the ads. It also writes back onto Amazon so you could adjust bids and everything all in this platform. And he had no idea that he could do this until about January.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then he can continue to update it too.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what is it what's the product that you created and what do you do with it and who does it help?
for OptiCommerce.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a consulting and implementation business for AI. I focus on voice agents, specifically for service businesses who are either missing calls after hours or during the day. So easy, just install an AI receptionist and it picks up the phone after hours. Where, for example, my plastic surgeon client, they get 200 calls a week. And let's say 10% of those are after hours. It answers all those calls and ends up booking in people who potentially were calling for a consultation. So you could tie it back to the revenue on that aspect of it. So that's how I measure ROI for my clients with the voice agents. And then I build custom AI enabled workflows and softwares for clients as well.
What specific types of clients? Just service businesses, small to medium, SMBs or
Yeah, I'm kinda all over the place, small to medium, and then I have some higher level clients. I actually just signed one in the vacation rental space. They're a pretty big company, and I'm automating their or building a software for their strategic dashboard and initiatives, that basically helps them track their goal towards their EBITDA number that they wanna be at before the end of the year. Um, and just delivering it in like half the amount of time that it normally would have taken, um, a developer to build it. And I do it all myself because I have these AI tools that could help me.
right. But is it code or is it just vibe coded?
Yeah, it's vibe coded. But I do have a background in web development and software development, so I know how to manage the the agent that's doing the coding.
But do you have to manage it or once you set it up for them, is it running on its own and you just take a look at it every once a week, make sure it works, still working correctly?
Yeah, the software runs on its own, and I set up an agent that monitors it 24/7 and lets me know if anything breaks.
What does it do? Call you or send you an email or send you a
No,
text?
just Telegram, a little DM.
That's funny.
I could have it call me. If it's something urgent, maybe I'll set that up.
Yeah, we have that done. We have that for because we manage so many accounts that we have. If something goes wrong on the weekends with like ads or social or something like that, we get a message, and we get it through Slack, and it just tells us, hey, you got a problem and you got to go look at it. So it's pretty cool because it's pretty instantaneous. The only time that we can't do anything about it is if it comes in at like 2 o'clock in the morning because we're just not monitoring it 24 hours. It tries
Yeah,
to fix it itself, but if it can't fix it, it'll tell you. I tried to fix it, I can't fix it. So
right.
and a lot of
That's why
times
you No,
what's
go
that?
ahead.
I was going to say a lot of times it has to do with the ad platform. Like, Meta sometimes does some wonky things with ads. So you can have an ad running for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, your pixel isn't right. You're like, it's been running for weeks. So so it can't fix that because it can't call Meta and get on the phone with Meta and say, what's the problem?
Right.
You
And
know.
that's why we're still gonna need a human in the loop to some extent for probably another 3 to 5 years, but eventually it's can be phased out to where AI could literally just pick up the phone and call Meta for you and resolve it. Right now, it probably could get you pretty far. Um, I could
Yeah,
set up a voice agent to do that.
yeah. I don't know, man. Have you ever call Meta for help?
No, but I've talked to Amazon plenty of times, and it's
Well,
terrible.
it's probably the people that didn't get hired by Amazon work for Meta, Meta support. So,
Oh,
it's
man.
they can't solve anything. Just like Google support can't solve anything. I had my one of our ad accounts got shut down, and it said you canceled this account on June 2nd. We're like, we didn't cancel it. So, you go through this whole mess to try and talk to somebody at Google, and you say, look, nobody ever canceled this account. Re, reset it up. And it's like, no, you fall into our soft touch. I forget. They have some stupid new thing. And in order to get your account back up, we have to link your bank account to it. Like, you know, you got to be kidding me. Like, you didn't bother to call. We have a Google rep who calls us constantly about, spend more money in the platform, but you couldn't
Yeah.
call. They couldn't call and say, hey, there's been a change and we have to do this. So the ad stopped running for 2 days. It's like it's the dumbest thing in the world.
It's so frustrating to deal with, and I haven't had to deal with Meta, luckily, but Amazon, Google, they call all the time, but Amazon will never call you unless you request a call.
Oh, Amazon is. I mean, when something happens that's really big, the only I don't even know if I've ever had seller support solve a problem on Meta. I mean, on Amazon. I think they just sort of run you around in circles until you get frustrated enough, and you just everything is always, well, you have to delete the listing and then redo the listing and wait 24 hours and then rebuild the listing. That's always the solution, and you're like, dude, come on. You
Yeah,
know, it's the most
trust me,
ridiculous thing.
that was my job for the first 2 years at Flywheel across all these different accounts, just managing their support cases and banging your head against the wall until you finally get it resolved.
Oh yeah. It's not, and it never gets fully resolved until you delete the listing, wait 24 hours, and then rebuild the listing. That's how it happens, constantly. The latest one was, we they shut off an item for one of our clients because they thought that they claimed that they saw it, for less money on another site. And I'm like, it's only two places that we sell this product, on their site and on Amazon. And, we had to go through, 12 phone calls, six emails to show them that they had the wrong item. So,
I'm glad you
anyway,
brought that up because that happens to us every single month because we run lightning deals on Amazon, so our price will drop, 25%. Chewy will match because 'cause they're a price follower. When the deal ends, Chewy responds, but they don't respond within whatever time Amazon checks external prices, so then they just shut down our listing, and it could take, 2 to 3 weeks just to get the buy box back, so then, our best sellers losing hundreds of sales a day because Amazon's wrongfully suppressing it.
yeah. Well, it's a big lawsuit in California for doing it, but they're not going to stop doing it, and I don't think they'll win. I don't think they'll lose the lawsuit because it's their system, it's their sandbox, and you're just playing in it.
Yeah.
So, but it's totally frustrating. I mean, Amazon itself has just changed so dramatically, and on top of like, on top of the higher costs, just the things that they did just this year alone, the way they changed paying for ads, the way they changed paying your sending your money instead of every 2 weeks. Now there's bigger holdback, just little things like that. And it's like, God Almighty, you know, and all of the brands that we represent that are FBA just are getting nickel and dime, and they feel like it's not even worth it.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. It's like squeezing the most amount of money as Amazon can out of their sellers, which are the core base of what Amazon is. All these different 3P sellers that make it competitive, they make the products better over time through competition, and they just squeeze you in every way they can.
They don't care because they know that if you leave, there's somebody else waiting to jump on the
Yeah.
platform. The difficult. So when I started selling on Amazon, I didn't want to sell on Amazon. We were in the beauty business. We had a beauty brand, and one of our investors and board members said, you should put it on there, and I didn't want to because I said, we don't have access to that customer. And they were like, no, you need to do it. You need to do it. You need to do it. So we did it. And I started thinking about it. And back then you could do different things than you can today. And one of those things was there were third party email platforms that you could link up. You could actually send an email through the Amazon system to the customer, right? Thanks for buying this product. I think you were allowed to send two emails, and
Mhm.
you couldn't put your website in there, but you could brand it, right? So the customer's not stupid. They see your branding, they go, oh, this is Raw Beauty. I'm going to go to their, website. And so once they hit your website, then you can figure out who they are. And so we used to track it, and we were like converting over 60% of our Amazon buyers onto the website.
Wow.
And then Amazon shut that part down. You couldn't now, in order to send an email, you have to go through Amazon, and you can only send, I think there's like three or four things you can send, right?
Templated, yeah.
Yeah. And then but Amazon controls it. And then, the other thing was you could get the customer's name and full address, and you could download that. And you couldn't get their email or anything, but you got their full address. So you could take that and you could put it through a third party aggregator, and you could pretty much match 80 to 90% of those people to their real address, right? And because it's out there somewhere. And then you get that, and then you just start sending them emails outside of Amazon, and then you capture them back. And then and then you used to be able to well, you still can sort of, if you do merchant fulfilled, you can put things in the box to sort of get them to bounce back to the site and sort of track that. But I mean, they've shut down so much of that, it's really, really difficult. But
Yeah, there's so many workarounds that come and go. Like we were when we first started off, we had a lid sticker that said scan for a free bottle. So we would literally send people a free bottle just in exchange for their info. Um, and then Amazon, we actually had our account manager that called us one day and was like, "You guys can't do this. Like you're gonna get shut down." And we're like, "Why? It's part of the bottle."
yeah,
So we ended up having to remove that, but yeah, there's still workarounds, and the Chinese sellers do whatever they want. Like in the dog vitamin space, it's getting outrageous. These manufacturers are making their product in China and, selling FBA, but they're saying made in the USA directly on the product and veterinarian recommended and all these claims, and Amazon doesn't do anything about it.
right.
And they're selling at half the price of what us US brands are able to sell at.
Yeah, we had we, something that we started right around COVID with powders, vegan powders. Like we had this uh, vegan hot cocoa powder, and protein powder, a turmeric tea powder, a couple of different powders. And the vegan cocoa was number one seller, and it was a great product, but it had um, this ingredient in it, which was some sort of like ingredient that I can't remember the name of it, but they were you could buy it in quantity and people were smoking it, right? And we're making it. It's an ingredient. It's a natural product. It's an ingredient in the hot cocoa, and Amazon shut us down because the ingredient was in the product, and they said we don't allow that ingredient to be sold. And we went on Amazon and just typed in that ingredient, and people were selling it. And we're like, wait a minute, you're our and we sent them like the ingredient list, and it was like 0.07% of the ingredients it was represented this product. And so people aren't smoking this. It's a hot cocoa powder, but you've got over 100 people selling the product, and you're telling us you can't sell it, but you're selling it. And we got our Amazon rep, and we were like, you got to be kidding me, man. This is like ridiculous. And they bubbled it up, bubble it up, bubble it up. It took months before they finally said, oh, okay, yeah, it's not such a big deal. But they still had the other sellers on there, which were all from out of the country. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I've had that happen to a few clients back when I was at Flywheel, and some SKUs doing, 10 million a year, and Amazon will just shut it down. And I mean, it's all automated that does it, and to get someone to actually review it at Amazon is like impossible. So you just
Yeah.
go around and round in limbo.
Yeah. No, I have a friend who has he's got two beauty brands, sells them worldwide, FBA, and does tens of millions. And he had a problem with his bank in Great Britain and in the UK. And because of that, they shut down everything for him. So he was out of business for like 2 weeks until he got it resolved. Couldn't sell in the US, couldn't sell, North America, couldn't sell in Japan, couldn't sell anywhere. And it was just because of a problem in the UK.
Wow,
It's
crushing.
it's an extremely frustrating platform nowadays. I think it used to be fantastic, but like you said, it's all automated. There's no people to deal with it, and the people that they have don't understand it, so they can't fix it. They go by like their little script, and the answer is always delete the item and wait 24
Yeah,
hours and rebuild it.
they have their 3 favorite responses that they always send.
Yeah, that's it. It's like or you have to get the catalog team. We have to get somebody from the catalog team. You're like, oh God, that's going to take like 6 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, so you're more of a custom shop with your AI product, right? You're more of a,
Yeah.
you didn't build a product that you're out there saying, you call it something and then you just go and plug and play.
No, just, bespoke solutions for whichever client I talk to. I usually have a discovery call with them and map out a few roadmap items that we could tackle. Um, a lot of the times voice AI is really low hanging fruit. That's why I kinda got started with the voice and then branched out into other things. Um, but yeah, I love building like custom solutions for businesses instead of just having a one size fits all solution. But I might eventually expand into, some AI startup phase where I create a custom software or something that's AI enabled and sell it to the masses.
Yeah, that's my goal. I'm not I don't like doing the custom work anymore. Like we're an agency, so everything we do is like custom, right? People come to us to do connected television ads primarily, and then along with that, you have digital ads because you want to retarget from the connected TV ads, and then but it becomes like bigger, and then you wind up doing everything so custom, and it's just it's very difficult to replicate it over and over and over again. CTV, if
Yeah.
I could do nothing but like CTV and digital ads all day, we'd be happy. It would be fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like doing the custom work, and I've been in client services for, the past 4 years, so I'm used to dealing with the client, and making them happy has been my goal since I started this business. And also with Googipet, customer service has always been our number one thing. I still handle all the customer service manually myself just because I like doing it.
Do you really?
And yeah, I love hearing the success stories from our customers, and even the bad ones sometimes that call in angry, I like to take care of it myself and, reassure people and be the face of the brand that, we are a family-oriented brand and we actually go follow through on that.
Yeah. No, I think customer service is important. I think that the companies that leverage AI too much, like I read this article about Verizon this weekend, where the CEO is saying that AI is basically going to take over customer service, and I'm thinking about it, going, this guy hasn't been right yet, and he's the CEO. He got a $30 million sign-on package, and he hasn't been right yet. I mean, he raised the price, lost X amount of customers, keeps going. Every time he makes a decision, he keeps going, well, that probably wasn't the best decision. Meanwhile, the guy got paid 30 million to get started, and plus he's got all these incentives, and he says we're going to put aside $20 million for retraining these people. And I thought, that's pretty inequitable, right? You're getting 30 million and you're saying for one person, you've got 100,000 people that you're going to retrain with 20 million. It just doesn't make sense. And I can just see Verizon going 100% into AI automation for calls. And it's just going to be horrible when you have a legitimate problem, because it's going to wind up in an infinite loop of frustration.
Yeah. That's why I like to when I'm implementing these voice agents and talking to clients, I like to tell them it's not a replacement for a human. It works on top of them to elevate their game, and also if they miss a call or it's after hours, the AI can take care of it. And if the AI can, it takes a message and the human follows up the next day.
Yeah.
I think that's the best solution right now to customer service.
Yeah, I do too. I think you still need to have a human in there. Too many people get frustrated, and then they're going to bounce off. You're going to have a negative interest, and you're going to lose business over it.
Yeah.
And Verizon's already losing business. Why would you want to lose more? You know, I mean, it's a service business. So I love the AI flows when it can answer questions and follow and solve simple tasks. But when it starts to get to the point where I need somebody, right? I just had this experience with a third party app that we use for optimizing ads on Amazon, and I had a problem, and I went to the chat, and it says, these three people are on right now.
Mhm.
So, but you start out, tell it your problem, and then it's going to direct you to the right person. And I tell it the problem, and it says, okay, hold, somebody's going to get back to you. And then you're sitting there and nobody's getting back to you. And it was literally hours later before I finally got an email back. And it was, somebody else, hey, how can I help you? I saw your problem. Like, okay, here's the problem. And then it literally took 48 hours for them to solve a simple problem. It was a
Oh
simple
my
problem.
god.
It took 48 hours because they just the AI piece is going and they're not paying attention, and they don't they don't have to solve the problem. And they even say it, sometimes it takes up to 48 hours for us to get back to you. You're like going, what kind of
That's
statement is that?
ridiculous.
Like, what kind of statement is that?
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're pretty much running out of time. We've got a couple of minutes left. So, why don't you give us some closing about being a young entrepreneur who's raising a family and has a couple of businesses under his belt?
Yeah. Uh, it gets stressful at times, but I have a great support system. Shout out to my wife, Analia. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. My newborn son, Marco, he's 8 months old and he's the brightest joy in my life right now. And I just wake up so grateful every day. And I think that's what really drives me, uh, working from a place of gratitude. And I try and refocus on that when I get too stressed out. But yeah, it's a entrepreneurship has been an amazing journey, and I owe it to what it's made me, the man it's made me today. So super grateful.
So, where can people go to find products? Is it Googipet.com?
Yeah, Googipet.com. You can find us on Amazon, Chewy. We're in a few stores if you're in Mesa, Arizona, some specialty dog stores out there, and yeah, mostly online.
And how about your services? Where can people find that?
You could find me on LinkedIn at Michael La Spisa or OptiCommerceAI.com. You could book a call with me directly, or shoot me an email.
OptiCommerce.ai. Is that what you said?
OptiCommerceAI.com.
OptiCommerceAI.com. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And why Mesa, Arizona? Aren't you in Chicago?
Yeah, my brothers are in Mesa. They moved there,
Oh,
5 years ago.
oh.
Yeah, they were sick of the cold weather out here in Chicago.
I was gonna say that's kind of odd that you're in Chicago and you got pet stores in Mesa, Arizona, carrying
Yeah.
the product. Yeah, well, it's not that cold, man. It's not that cold. All right. Um, yeah, I think it was a good conversation. I think your story, kind of connects a few things that every young founder needs to understand. That you know, Googipet is really, you built a brand that people trust, and you continue to build that, and then learning the mechanics of e-commerce and using technology to create leverage instead of complexity. I think those are sort of important points. Um, but I like that you're not talking about AI as some, abstract, shiny thing or future concept. You're really applying it to a very real business problem. Whether it's missed calls, slow follow up, lost leads, lost revenue. That's where growth, often leaks out in a business quietly, and that's why I think, when you talk about, um, AI customer service, if you're not doing it right, then if you rely too heavily on it and you're not monitoring it and monitoring guardrails, it could wind up blowing up in your face. You wind up losing more business than you're gaining. So, so for everyone watching, I think a few big takeaways. A strong band starts really with solving a real problem for a real customer. And then, second, growth requires operational discipline, not just marketing energy. And third, AI is only valuable when it makes the business faster, smarter, or more responsive. So, Michael, thanks for joining us and sharing your journey from Googipet to OptiCommerceAI.com. I'm excited to see where you take both brands next. And good luck with the family. Been there, love it. I love having kids. I love my wife, my family. I love my dogs. So it truly is pleasurable. I think that being an entrepreneur and being able to, it's stressful sometimes, but being an entrepreneur and being able to sort of manage your own life, forget about the money, forget about the success, forget about any of that, just to be ability to manage your own life, I think makes your family life so much better, in my opinion. It has for me
Yeah,
anyway. So
that was the biggest thing for me because I have a so I have the dog and a baby, and my dog is super active. He's a 2-year-old mini Aussie Doodle, so he I take him on 5 or 6 walks every day, so just being able to block my calendar and go so no one books a meeting with me is amazing compared
yeah.
to, having to text your boss, "Hey, I'm taking a break."
Yeah, no, you're right. So yeah, again, you can find the products googipet.com or on Amazon or on Chewy, and opticommerceai.com, or reach out to Michael on LinkedIn directly. And we will see you next week.